friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Justina, and here I like to make, create, and inspire fun art things with you through my DIYs. And boy, is this a big DIY project that I have been working on for quite some time, and it is finally here. We have my guest bathroom makeover part 2, which is super exciting because this is the final part. If you haven't seen part 1 or you are new here and this is the first video that you clicked on, please check out my part 1, which will be linked down in the description box below so that you can see from start to finish my guest bathroom makeover. I am super excited, and as many of you may have known, it is in a Beetlejuice style. But remember friends, if you are new here and you haven't yet subscribed, I hope you do that today. All you have to do is click on that big red subscribe button down below. It's totally free, but don't forget to click on the bell notification so that YouTube can always notify you every time I upload a new video. Plus, we would love to have you here, part of our virtual art family. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for being here and clicking on today's video. But don't forget to do all of the YouTubey things down below, which is like, comment, and share it to at least one friend. Now, with all that being said, let's just jump right into it and let's finish up my guest bathroom makeover. So a quick recap here. We are going to start off where we left off on part 1. I started painting in the drip parts of the green slime or paint that we are painting on my walls and ceilings. Now I went in with a really small paintbrush, the type you would use on actual painting on a canvas. That's because I really wanted to etch in all of my outline to really make sure I get those straight marks and really make smooth edges so that when I fill it in later that it will be easier to get all the way to the edge without going over. Also, as I am filling in those drip marks, I tend to go over the lines that I've drawn in. That is because I keep changing my mind and I like to change the shape of it. I really take a step back to make sure that it looks good on the wall, and if I need to fix anything, I just go back up onto the ladder with my paintbrush and change it along the way. After I have the outline, I did go into some places with that small paintbrush and filled it in, but then I left some of it white to fill it in with a different paintbrush. Here's how it looks after I outlined pretty much everything. I did remove the cap to my vent, but the AC vent was really high and I didn't have the proper ladder, so I was just waiting for my parents to come over so I can use a taller ladder, so that will be filled in later on. But here is how it looks so far after I just outlined the areas that I needed to, so that we can then fill it in with a proper paintbrush. I am going in with a smaller roller at first because I just really wanted to make sure that I had a good handle on everything and that I don't go past the little drip marks that we have created. This makes it easier for me, but I can also use a bigger paintbrush just to get it done a little faster. However, I just really wanted to take my time and enjoy the process, which this was really fun, but my body was super sore after going up and down the ladder for days on end. But however, I really had a good time making over this bathroom. Now all of my paints do have primer into it, so I didn't have to prime it beforehand. However, I did go in with a white primer ahead of time in part 1 for some of the walls just to make it even so that I can create a different design on top of it later that I will show you. After everything was filled in, this is how it looks. It did take me about 2 good generous amount of coats to get it really opaque and the way I wanted it. And once again, I needed to wait for a taller ladder on this day to really get close to the light and to take off my AC vent. Once again, I do apologize for the rotation of the camera. It is a really small space, so videoing it in this area is kind of difficult, but I am learning on the way. After I had all of that done, I did wait for it to dry so that we can move on to the next part. I wanted my walls to have black and white stripes, just like Beetlejuice's suit, so I went in with my laser leveler and the same black paint that we used on the walls on the bottom portion, and I'm taking that small paintbrush once again, and I am just outlining the line that I see on the wall. Now, it is not super perfect nor sharp, but it is as close as I can possibly get it. I really took my time, and this part of the wall really did take me hours because I am going super slow. I did speed up this part of the video so you don't have to see me in real time. However, I did take my time and make sure that I got as close to the line as possible without going over, and trying to make it as even as possible so it looks like a perfect straight line. Each one of my stripes is about 12 inches wide so that I can get an even amount around the bathroom. And just like any other DIY project that I do, I did have to label it B for black and W for white. So I went all around the room with a pencil and just wrote those letters at the bottom so I know not to paint that one in the wrong color. After I had one side done, I went on the other side and did the exact same thing, taking my time making sure that I have those straight lines as even as possible. Then I took that same paintbrush and I started outlining the drip marks if they were in the same stripe as the black color, and I am making sure to go around it and really sharpening those lines with the black paint so that we can get a nice even look. Here is how it looks with just the outline, and I really went over the edges a couple of times to make it really opaque. That's because when I go in with the roller, I don't have to go as closely to the edge as I need to, just because I added so many layers on top of it already. Next, I'm going in once again with that small roller, and I'm just going to fill in those stripes. Now I can go all the way down since the bottom half of my bathroom is in this color already, so I really don't have to worry about that. I will continue adding a layer of that black paint on there, and then I will work on the next stripe. Once I'm done with the next stripe, I then go back over the first stripe to give it a second layer so that I can work double time. Here is how it looks once it's filled in, and like I mentioned before, I will continue doing the same thing completely around the whole entire bathroom. I will start with the outlines and then I will fill it in. Here's how it looks after all of the lines were painted in, and I am super thrilled on how it turned out. Like I mentioned before, it is not perfect, but for my eye it is pretty close, and I can't believe I did this all by hand without painter's tape, which probably made me take a little bit longer than necessary, but well worth it. Now that my paint is dry, it is now time to add some trim into the bathroom. I bought 3 pieces of trim. I believe they are about 9 feet long, which is perfect for the perimeter of my bathroom. Where the lower half of the bathroom meets the topper half of the bathroom, there is like a line that is not perfect, so I wanted to cover it with trim. I finally get to use my little miter saw, which was perfect for this DIY. There was some wiggle room for learning, but at the end of the day, it really did cut it nice and straight where I needed it to cut. These pieces of trim are so thin anyways that you pretty much can cut them, probably with some miter shears as well. After I have all of my cuts made, I then took that same exact black paint and painted just the front portions of it because you're not going to see the back of it. I did only give it one coat of this paint, and if some of the wood was showing, it was okay because I needed to fill in the nail marks later, so I knew that I had to make a second or third coat afterwards. After I had them painted, I needed some time to figure out how I was going to nail it onto the wall. So I took some painter's tape, as you see here, and I wedged it onto the board and the wall so I know exactly if it was even and where I needed to cut. Then I took a stud finder and I had to find each one of the studs. Now I think my stud finder is really old and it's not working the best, so I did make two mistakes, but once I found the studs, it started to go in perfectly. I don't have a nail gun, so I had to do it the old-fashioned way, which was a nail and a hammer, and this looks scary looking back at it, but trust me, I got them all in without any casualties. Now next I needed to fill in some of those holes. I placed this nail way too close to the edge, so it did split the wood. However, I have some wood filler and I'm just going to fill it in along with all of the nail holes that we created earlier too. This is also why I wasn't too worried about adding the second coat on until after I was done hammering it in. Next, it is my favorite time, which is decorating the bathroom. I got all of the painting out of the way, so it is now time. As you see here, I am drilling in 2 holes into my wall because we had received a shelf for Christmas and I've been holding on to it for a long while now, and I am finally getting around to putting it into my bathroom. I first pre-drilled some holes and then I'm adding some anchors into it because this is drywall and the placement of the shelf is not near a stud, so I'm just hammering those all the way in. I then take my screws and then add them into our anchors that we just hammered in, but I make sure that I don't go all the way in because we need a little lip of the screw to hold in the shelf. After I have it where I like it, I then add the shelf right onto those screws, and then I take my leveler to make sure that it is nice and even. Anywhere that it wasn't even, I just tightened one end to really make it hold into place, but it was pretty much even for the most part. Then I'm taking the drill again and just securing it into the wall, making sure that the screws are holding onto the shelf. Now, it is kind of hard to see because pretty much the whole bathroom is almost black, but this is how it looks onto the wall. And yes, I haven't got around to sanding down my trim just yet, but I did do it off camera. After I had that in place, it is now time to hang our new mirror. Once again, I received this as a gift for Christmas and we've been holding on to it for a while because I knew the perfect location, which is this bathroom. I believe it was purchased at Ross. Now, I had to really take my time and make sure that it was as even as possible. I had to use my laser leveler here to make sure that I had it centered, and I'm taking a Sharpie marker and making little X's to where I needed to put my screws into the wall. If you have been following my channel, you may know that I have a really hard time measuring. I have to do it like 15 times and make sure that it is as even as possible because I second guess myself all the time. But I did do that. I measured so many times, and then once I was done measuring and made my X's, I'm taking my drill once again and making pre-holes so that we can put another anchor. I got these heavy duty anchors for this mirror because the mirror is pretty heavy, and I made sure that it was nice and secured. I even pulled on the mirror to make sure that it wouldn't come down. So hopefully I did the right thing by getting really better quality anchors. After I have my anchors in the wall, I hammered those in, and then I'm taking once again another screw and screwing that into the anchor, but making sure I don't go all the way back. Then all that was left to do was to hang the mirror, which was really scary, but I managed to get it up. This is how it looks when it is hung up, and yes, I know the trim is right behind it. However, it makes it more secure because when I was shaking it and pulling on it, it didn't move with that trim behind it. Now it's time for decorating. It is now time to add all of the goodie stuff into the bathroom to really make this bathroom pop. Like I mentioned on part 1, we have been collecting stuff over the years, for many years, of little trinkets here and there so that we can add it to our home, which, if you haven't known, this is our first house that we ever purchased, and we are so thrilled that we can decorate it the way that we actually want to decorate it without breaking rules or worrying about landlords and all of that stuff. So I am just filling up these shelves with all of the little trinket things. And yes, I do change it up about 3 or 4 different times to get it the way I like to decorate. However, here is just an idea of how I started to decorate. We have these little Beetlejuice themed stuff. I purchased these, I believe, at Five Below, and if you go right now, I'm pretty sure they're still available. I believe they're $5 each, and I thought that little rubber ducky was so cute. My little one got it for my spouse. Then I'm going to start hanging up photos. My spouse also is a awesome photographer, and they took these photos up in New York when they were visiting and printed them in black and white, and I've been using them in our decor ever since. They are gorgeous, and it goes perfectly with this bathroom. And you will notice that I use push pins for a lot of our artwork on our walls. It's just easier for me this way. I am using a push pin for this hand that I purchased from Amazon. 3 came in a pack along with some candles also, and I absolutely love them. Each hand is a different type of hand and their positioning. Now for this little hack here, I put a towel onto a little hair tie, and then I'm going to wrap it around our little hand here. Now I must give credit where credit is due, and that happens to be my spouse, because I really wanted these hands to hold a towel, so after you're washing your hands you can dry your hands on a towel, and they suggested that, and it is a perfect way to display that towel. Next, I'm just going to continue adding some artwork and decor along the walls of the bathroom. We've had this Beetlejuice poster for a couple of years now, and I thought it would be perfect for this bathroom. Once again, I am using a push pin for that sign. Next, I have this candle holder that I found at a thrift store, and I just hung that right next to our poster. Then I was contemplating if I should put a green candle or a white candle, and I stuck with the white candle. Lastly, my spouse painted me this Bob painting, and I thought it would be perfect right next to the mirror, and that completes our bathroom makeover. And again, here is a recap of how our bathroom started off with. Now, there is no shame on having a new bathroom with gray walls. However, that's just not our aesthetic. And for us, it was just making us a little bit gray and gloomy. So I really wanted to give it another life. Once again, we do have a new build, so everything is builder grade. So I got rid of that mirror and added my own. And as you saw throughout the video, I painted all of these gray walls in black and white and a bright green color, which I absolutely love. And this is how our new bathroom turned out. Here is our new bathroom makeover. It is our guest bathroom that is downstairs, so people will come and use it all the time. However, we absolutely loved how it turned out. It still baffles me that I have this idea in my head, but I really can't explain it. I usually try to sketch it out onto a piece of paper so I can try to explain it to my spouse. They are always so supportive of any ideas I come up with, but to see it come to life, it really just hits on a different level, and I'm just super happy how it turned out. Now, even though I technically am calling this finished, the bathroom is really not completed. Being a homeowner, as a lot of you may know, technically no project is really completed because there's always ways to improve it or add to it, and I want to add more to it. I want to get a rug in here and make a little table, but nonetheless it it is completed so that we can finally use the bathroom again. Now, as you may see, I did add some highlights to the drip marks up above, and then we added some of our own artwork that me and my spouse have made throughout the years. We have some sandworms that we've created from another YouTuber that teaches you how to paint. I will hopefully make sure to link it down in the description box below. And we also have other trinkets in our Halloween decor that I have to rummage through to add to the walls, but this is pretty much all of it so far. Thank you, friends, for sticking around with me and coming on to this little project of my downstairs bathroom makeover. I really had a blast, and I know it took longer than usual, but this was a lot of work to do for one person, but I'm glad it is finally finished and you guys are able to see it. I would love to know what you think about my bathroom down in the comment section below. Remember, friends, if you are new here and you haven't yet subscribed, I hope you do that today. All you have to do is click on that big red subscribe button down below. It is totally free, but don't forget to click on the bell notification so that YouTube can always notify you every time I upload a new video. Plus, we would love to have you here, part of our virtual art family. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for being here and clicking on today's video, but don't forget to do all of the YouTube things down below, which is like, comment, and share it to at least one friend. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy, and as always, I will see you in the next one.